Let's record, Emily. Thank you for joining us today, the National Community Action Partnership webinar series. My name is Amy Jandusa English. I am the project director here for Energy Partnerships, and we have a special treat for you today. We will have speakers from the Jefferson Franklin Community Action Corporation. Today's a little bit different. We're going to be a little unscripted. The presenters do not have slides, so we're going to host this in meeting mode, and we encourage dialogue and conversation. So that's a good thing because we have a smaller group today. So I would encourage you to use the raise hand functions and also come off camera if you'd like. But we are still going to record the session. So the content will be on our website and our YouTube channel at some point. So that's why we want to let you know that you're being recorded. Next slide. Okay, before we move on, we always like to recite the promise of community action. Feel free to come off mic and say it with me. Community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to David Leas, Healthy Homes Director at Jefferson Franklin Community Action Corporation. And we can stop the slide sharing, Emily, and we'll let David assume the main stage.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope we're having a great day so far. My name is David Leas. I am the Healthy Homes Coordinator for Jefferson Franklin Community Action. We cover 2 counties, approximately 300 to 350,000 residents in Jefferson and Franklin County, Missouri. These counties are the 2 bordering counties to St. Louis County, which includes obviously St. Louis City. So we're rural, but we do have a couple of slightly small, bigger, larger towns of say 15, 16, even 20,000 people. That being said, this whole presentation today is really how a lot of the Healthy Homes programs were given to entities like cities and counties and states. Whereas here at Jefferson Franklin, we've got the Healthy Homes grant and we work it under the same director as our weatherization. And what I really wanted people to know and understand, because a lot of the other community actions may not have Healthy Homes, but they have the weatherization. We can make these 2 programs work so well together because it increases our capacity, and it's hard sometimes to get to the number of homes for Healthy Homes. So it helps build that capacity and more applications. And when you're only getting a 20 to 25% rate of returned applications for how many you're sending out, that really, really helps. The biggest thing is weatherization. We can stop units from being deferred. So not only do we get to put some extra money and extra work into a home, that work may make the weatherization side of things continue to go forward. So we got 200 units over a course of 42 months for Healthy Homes, and we've been working that alongside with weatherization so that we can really make a bigger impact on the 2 counties that we preside in. That being said, we have a staff of 2. We've got a contractor crew. We've got 3 companies right now. We're trying to work with a couple more in the Healthy Homes. We actually have a few more in weatherization that don't do business with us in Healthy Homes. We are turning about 6 to 8 units a month completed. So that is actually what we're trying to work on, getting that up by adding more contractors. I'm constantly calling up contractors and talking to them and trying to get them to come on board. The Healthy Homes Initiative is a fantastic grant. And I really kind of wanted to say that the Healthy Homes Weatherization Demonstration Cooperation Grant is what got me in touch with Amy and Emily. that grant, if you don't have both of these programs within your agency, that grant can really, really help you make the connection between a local or close by healthy homes program and get it in connection with that weatherization program and really make an impact in your communities. So that being said, I would like to just open it up to any questions that somebody might have on how we do things, how we are progressing, what are some of the barriers that we've hit, which has been quite a few. And if you are a community action that does not have healthy homes, we would like to try to find a way to get you in touch with the closest healthy homes program in your area. So we're taking some notes that I can get that off to our HUD sponsors in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, as to tee up the conversation, I'd like to ask sort of a facilitator question or just kind of frame what we're talking about here. We previously had a webinar with our partners at HUD and the Department of Energy because the federal agencies have an interest in seeing the HUD Healthy Homes Project work in collaboration with the weatherization program. So they actually had an application out to do Healthy Homes Weatherization Cooperation demonstrations. There was a lot of letters in that acronym. And what we were all very excited to find out that Jefferson Franklin was already doing healthy homes and weatherization cooperation without the sanction of a specific grant to help them demonstrate it. And so we're very curious to know for like, how did you come up with the idea to put the two together and what what barriers did you have to overcome?
So it was just natural because we were put under the same director. So our director, David Rose, and don't get it confused, we have two Daves, Dave Rose and David Leas, that's me. He's been the director for weatherization for I think like 14 years, quite a long time. When they were applying for the different grants, the agency as a whole saw this Healthy Homes grant, and we are in an area of the country where most of the homes that we are looking at are pre-1978, a lot of Office of Lead Hazard Control, a lot of lead-based paint, a lot of asbestos, homes that the repairs have been so far behind that the problems have increased. They've gotten worse over time. We have really kept an eye on our demographics. We are working with a lot of over 70-year-old widowed women who still own their home, but they have no possible way of keeping up with the house. So we're able to come in and save that. So it just kind of naturally occurred. We're in the same office. We share a lot of the same information. The auditors from weatherization will come to me and say, it started off with just simple questions. Can you do this? Can you do that? And then it grew to, we have 3 auditors. Every time they go out to do an audit, they're actually pushing healthy homes out there. We do have a second slightly different program. It's called the HERO program. It comes through the state level. That funding is also through HUD, but it goes through Missouri's Housing and Development Commission. That grant is 6 to 8 homes a year with a larger budget, and it actually lets me kind of tailor and pick the houses that need the most money, and they may qualify for both grants and end up with, we're talking sometimes $35,000 worth of repairs. These are huge, huge repairs that can basically keep somebody from losing their home due to disrepair. I started right off the bat whenever I came over to start running this program. I would go out and do a couple audits. Vern Hellman is in here. He's one of our longest running auditors. He let me go with him on a couple of houses, and I sat down at the kitchen table and talked to the homeowners, and I got them signed up before we were even ready to roll. Some of the barriers we hit, and this will probably be very common with any community action, is our environmental tier review. And I had never in my career had anything to do with environmental tier review. We have all the correct insurances, but we just weren't allowed to be the responsible entity. So we had to go to each county, go to that county executive, and get them to agree to be the responsible entity. Well, coming from a legal perspective, that's a big leap. So we had to do that. We had to sell that quite a bit. And eventually one county was able to sign off on it. The other county, they allowed HUD to actually be our responsible entity. So there was some things that put us a good 6 months behind on starting our first unit. So we've been behind since we started. The good thing is, when spring rolls around, we start getting a lot of applications. We get a lot of contractor involvement. We do 5 to 6 homes at least one time a month where we have a contractor walkthrough day. I meet all the contractors at one home and we go to the next one and the next one and the next one. And sometimes we can get 6 done in a day. Sometimes we can only do 4, depending on the amount of work that needs to be done and how much they have to bid. They get their bids back to me in a couple of weeks. We get that contract out, they get them on the schedule, and then they take over and they get out there, and I go visit the site just to make sure that certain things are being done correctly. But we're starting to really get successful. It just took us, of course, you have to walk before you can run. It did take us a little while. The environmental review was a huge barrier. Once we got that kind of under control, everything started going pretty quickly after that.
David, I do see Yolanda Brown has joined us. Is she your co-presenter?
She is my GTR, my government representative with HUD. I'm glad to see that she's joined in here. If anybody had any questions that I wasn't able to answer, I'm sure she would jump in. She's not really planning on being a co-presenter.
I'm not. Hi, everyone. I'm Yolanda Brown. I am the division director in the Office of Healthy Homes and Lead Hazard Control. I run all of the Lead Hazard Control grant programs, the Healthy Homes production programs, the Healthy Home for Tribal, the older adult home modification, the lead capacity building grant. So I do the entire grant program within my division. And I am short-staffed, so I'm acting as the government technical representative for this region.
So you're definitely the guest of honor. We're very glad to have you, but we won't put you on the spot with specific questions unless necessary.
Okay.
We have a question in the chat that ties to one of the things that I was hoping to get into. So Alvin Miller said, you guys have healthy home assessors and energy auditors do inspections, question mark. And that my question is kind of what is the workflow? So how do you decide which program to assess for first? Do you do them together? How does the client access the programs? Like what are the steps in that process?
That is probably one of the best questions we're going to get, because it tends to be unit by unit. Most of the time, and when I say most, I'm looking at about 90%. We would prefer that Healthy Homes goes in and completes the unit and gets it completely done before weatherization, because weatherization has some pretty strict rules on what they can do and what they can't do. And I'm not completely in the loop with what they can do. But I know specifically there are times where they say we can't replace windows. Well, Healthy Homes can replace windows if they need to be replaced. So if they're doing an energy audit, if they're doing a weatherization audit, and windows are one of the most leaky parts of the house, then definitely we want Healthy Homes to come in first. So that's a really great question, and we almost have to make that decision unit by unit by unit. Right now, most of the time, weatherization is there first because they seem to have a long waiting list. So they've got a lot of capacity. They've got a lot of people waiting on an audit. So when the auditors go out there, they look at the house, they can immediately say, this house was probably going to be deferred, but I'm going to help you out. I'm going to tell you about this really awesome guy named David Leas that works in our agency that has a program that really could help you and keep you from being deferred. And then I usually jump in. I have to move a little quicker in those situations, but it has happened. It's happened numerous times where I have to come in and get that done first.
Okay, and there's another question from the chat. Is there a trigger that gets healthy homes in first, or do people just request an inspection? And is the process different if it's rental or owner occupied? It's two separate questions, but it sounds
So
like you're saying that it's at your discretion, right? There's not an overarching policy.
correct. If weatherization is already out there and they're already looking at the house, then they're going to say, I think you need to call this guy, and they're going to give him my card. Each one of them carries one of my cards in their packet or in their truck. They make sure that they get that to them and say, call them up, get them out here. I do right now, just because of the equipment I have, I do 2 assessments every week. I can get it up to 3. If I buy one more radon detector, I can probably do 4 a week. So we're trying to get to that capacity where we have to do 4 a week. That allows me that flexibility to throw somebody in. If I real quickly can get all of their documents, some of these healthy homes programs, they really have to worry about the income qualification. 99% of the income people that we look at are going to be way under because they're already signed up for weatherization, or they're already savvy with what the numbers are for community action in general. They know what the poverty levels are, because technically the healthy homes is a little bit higher than most community action programs, which is excellent. That keeps me from having to really, really worry about, man, I think they're going to be over. They're not going to be able to qualify, because if they qualify for weatherization, they 100% are going to qualify for healthy homes.
And is the HUD healthy homes, is it 200% of poverty, or is it something area median income?
It is
or
80% area
80%?
median income.
Yeah. So that varies from place to place,
Yes.
right?
So, and the assessments are completely different. So if you're a community action and you have weatherization and that's your department, your audit couldn't be further from a real house inspection. So when you think of a healthy homes assessment, it's a home inspection on steroids, because we put in air quality monitors, we test for radon, we do a visual inspection where I'm crawling under, over, and through. I can get in attics, I get in crawl spaces, I get pretty nasty. I come out covered in cobwebs a lot of times. I do, and I hope that all the healthy homes programs are doing the extents that I do. I'm at a house 3 hours, and I got scratch alls, I've got equipment, I've got an XRF scanner, I'm licensed lead inspector, risk assessor. I've got over 25 years of building experience. I've flipped homes. I've owned very, very old homes here in Missouri. So my experience, my background really lets me give somebody an inspection, and then they get reports. That's the biggest thing, is they even get radon reports. They'll get a copy of their lead inspection risk assessment. It is a very, very thorough. I love, and I've never really talked to any of the other healthy homes people out there, but I created a good relationship with a company called Senseware, who has now become Attune. Their air quality equipment is what is used in hospitals. It's used in a lot of schools. It's used in a lot of high-end hotels. They loved me because I was a nonprofit. They were all about getting me this equipment. I put that equipment in on a Thursday. I leave it over the entire weekend. It is live 24/7, hooked and connected to the internet. I can look at their air quality, and it has 9 different sensors in it. I can look at their CO2 levels. I can look at the particulate matter. And the best thing is if I'm looking at data and I cannot figure it out, I give them a quick phone call, and they'll get an air quality engineer on the line with me and look at it and tell me what questions to ask the homeowner. What happened at this time that all of a sudden your CO2 levels tripled? So they are excellent. They are a fantastic company. I love working with them. But this is an extensive healthy homes assessment.
There's a question in the chat. are you able to do healthy homes work independently from weatherization? Like
Absolutely.
in a home with minimal weatherization potential?
Absolutely. So that's the good part about them is they are standalone programs. We just make them work together when it has to, but we still collect a good 10 to 20 applications a month that are strictly healthy homes, people that don't even know about weatherization. That's come around for me just getting out. I get out into the community. I've been to churches, I've been to the health departments, I've dealt with other places and lumber yards and just talking to. I go into a development. We've got a development right here, not too far from the house, that we're on our fifth home in this lake development. So this lake
Mm-hmm.
development, most of the houses were built in the 50s and 60s. They were built as weekend getaway homes for people from St. Louis to get away for the weekend, come down to the lake. They were never meant to be lived in 24/7. Well, now they're being lived in 24/7, and many of them just are in dire, dire need. And every single one of them, almost, they're very low income folks, a lot of them on disability. They've lived there for 15, 20 years and the house is rotting around them. So
Mm-hmm.
we're making a huge impact right over here in this one lake. Like I said, we're on our fifth house in that lake, and it's all for me getting in there and doing that first house, putting a sign up that says this home was made more healthy by a grant from HUD called the Healthy Homes Production Grant. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's really, really awesome that we can do independently and separately.
So being that you are the Healthy Homes, are you the director or the coordinator?
I am the coordinator
The Healthy Homes
and the
coordinator.
programmer.
Um, do you do you feel that Healthy Homes supports the weatherization program or that the weatherization program supports the Healthy Homes program? Or is it both? And could you give us some examples of ways in which they complement each other? Do you have like case studies or?
I think that we're more of a partnership. We really are. We have some case studies that we'll probably have put together here. This we haven't had enough time and enough data collected to really have something. But yes, I have one very particular home. It was a built 1980, 82, so there was no lead based problems, but it was on a crawl space that the vapor was completely wrong. It was never vented. This entire building was rotting from the inside out. I was able to use, I think, 14,000 in Healthy Homes money. My hero program, which can go up to 22.5, I was able to use 21,000 of that money. And we also have partnerships. This is even better. And I don't know if every community action can get this, but we partner with the local electric company and gas company. So Ameren and Spire are electric and gas. They have funds as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular house drew from every pool of money we had, except for weatherization, because it had weatherization done about 10 years ago. So they're what, 4 years away from being re-weatherized at this point. They got a new panel, they got a new HVAC, they got 70% of the flooring completely torn out, replaced. Um, they couldn't have been happier. Let's put it that way. You've got a disabled wife, and the husband's a butcher at like a Save-A-Lot store. So they were at the point where this building could have almost been dozed over because it was
Mm-hmm.
so bad. And then the second home we had was one where weatherization had to come out of every pool of money that they had, not just DNR, but they were able to get Spire money. She got a new gas furnace from Spire. She got a new electrical panel from Ameren. It was built in 1901, just to let you know how old this house was. It's the family home. It's been in
Mm-hmm.
her family for 75 years. It was her grandmother's home. Grandmother passed it to her mom. Her mom passed it to her. Um, I can't wait. I'm waiting on my hero money right now because I'm going back to do more work with it. We're gonna have that house almost like it stood 75 years ago.
That's great. I have a lot of more questions popping up in my head, but I see Christine has her hand raised. Would you like to ask a question?
Yes, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good morning from Orange County, California. I think this is great work that you're doing, David. I wanted to ask, and I think someone's asked in the chat, where to get a healthy home, a production grant like this. And I I got a phone call and I was interrupted, and you were talking about this equipment that measures indoor air quality. Could you speak to that again? And again, I just want to compliment you on a great program.
I appreciate that. I know that we're very, very proud of where we're at with this, and we're still on the infant side of it. We're looking to produce and get our capacity built up to where we're doing a dozen, 10 to 12 homes a month, and getting them assessed, completed, and done out the door. We're trying to get there. The biggest problem for us is contractor participation. And right now, I don't know how many of you know it, but it's very hard to get a window. We have supply chain problems. I've had somebody waiting since July, maybe August. She's been waiting on 14 windows since July. They were 3050, which is like really, really large windows.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing holding us back. So the air quality equipment, and I wish I'd have brought some home. It's this big. There's 9 sensors in this one. They do have to plug in, so they're not battery powered. You have one box that's about the size of my hand, and then the other box is the receiver. The receiver has to plug directly into the internet. They also make internet cradles. So if you're in a house out in the country, I bought the cradles as well. They're cellular. So as long as you get a cellular signal, now you can connect that. I plug them in, they are immediately live. I can go into my computer, I can log into my account to my dashboard, I create a new dashboard with maybe that unit's name on it, and it's got all kinds of graphs. They give me all the help and support I need. The company's name is Attune, Attune, and they are fabulous.
And how much?
The units go for the receiver, the monitor, and a cradle about $900. And then there is an annual fee because you're going to subscribe to their dashboard, and it's all there. So it's their software. You just use it. So basically you're buying the license to use it, I guess. You would log into your account. I have every unit that we have ever done has a name, and it's under like last name, this unit. So that's that unit. I can go back a year later and I can look at what was going on with their air quality, which is a really big deal because there's a lot of air quality grants out there too right now. Right. Be watching for those. Those are really good if you're going to get into this Attune software. We're looking and we're trying to get something where possibly we can use my account that I already have with them, but we were not 100% sure yet, but we would like to put this same software or the same equipment into our Head Starts.
And just one last follow-up. So do you leave these in the homes or do you pull them after you've done your work? And is it covered under HUD healthy measures?
So it was approved in our Healthy Homes grant whenever we applied for it. That was some of the stuff we were going to buy was air quality equipment. I put the equipment in a house on Thursday, and on Monday morning when I get back to my office and I open up my computer, the first thing I do, because I've got a radon detector at the same house, so I know I'm going to have to go back to this house on Monday morning and pick up my equipment. If I pull their air quality up and something doesn't look good and something doesn't look right, I'm going to leave it till I need it again. A lot of times that's the following Thursday when I have 2 more assessments, because my assessments are 3 to 3.5 hours. I'll do one in the morning. Then my lunchtime is usually spent driving from one county to the next and then doing another assessment. So, but if it's so bad that it's got unhealthy air, I can leave it in there as long as I need to. I just may not have another assessment. I might have to put an assessment off. Now that we know where our budgets are kind of falling after a little more than a year in the program, I could probably get Yolanda to approve me another unit or two, and I could probably have more units at this point, because when you look at the scope of things, $900, and it doesn't increase your monthly or yearly subscription fee at all. The number of pieces of equipment you have is not going to change that annual fee. And you're not just paying for the dashboard, you're paying for the ability to call them up and say, I can't figure out why particulate matter is fine all day, and then all of a sudden from 11 o'clock at night till 3 o'clock in the morning every night, it's tripling. So they're a lot of help.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome. How many units have we completed for Healthy Homes? We have, at our last quarterly report, we were at 12, but I think I had 5 or 6 still under contract that they were waiting on material. So this next quarter, which ends at the end of March, I'm probably going to double that. We're going to probably be closer to 24 units, and we're still a little bit behind. But we're gonna get there. We had 200 units, of course, and it's gonna be tough to do it, but I think that we will have no problem getting to it. We were able to change our benchmarks a little bit here not too long ago. 12 units doesn't sound like a lot, but we did not start construction until April of last year, and we were at that point a full year into the grant because of the tier review problem.
We have Amanda Rains from DOE has her hand raised, and I'd like to see what she has to say.
Sure.
Great. Thanks, Amy. And thank you, David. This has been really great to hear. I'm Amanda Rains. I serve as the Senior Policy Analyst for Weatherization. And one of the things that I do for DOE is I work on interagency coordination, trying to help do exactly what you're doing, maximizing services for low-income families through multiple federal programs. I was wondering, can you talk more about how many of the homes you're serving under Healthy Homes are getting referred over to Weatherization and also getting served through Weatherization? And have you run into any problems with like your wait list and where these people fall in the wait list after they've received Healthy Homes?
So if Healthy Homes gets the application and I start the process, every person that I see, I'm going to tell them when I'm finished, you want to apply and do weatherization. The problem being is what you just said is I think our weatherization department right now might be 12 months on their wait list. And they're running the same problem we are. It's not office staff, it's the contractor. We cannot get good contractors to sign on. And I know somebody was over here in the chat talking about that as well. As a nonprofit, it's hard to get a contractor to work for you. I don't know how you beat that. We just keep beating down doors, basically. I've lived in this county, except for my time in the military, I've lived in this county my whole life, and I have a lot of connections. And I've had people that I consider to be good friends, and I've begged them, you're a general contractor. Why won't you come do this work for this agency and help me out, because we could use more contractors both in weatherization and in Healthy Homes and Hero. And they tell me, Dave, I've got so much work, my phone never stops ringing. I can't guarantee that I could do it. So until something in our economy changes or something's got to change in order to get these contractors to help us out. But if I get the unit first, I'm referring to weatherization. If weatherization gets out there, they almost refer every single one to Healthy Homes as well. So we are a constant referral back and forth to make sure that we get as much put into that house. And I hope that any agency reaches out to their local gas company and their local electric company as well, because Spire has really saved us a lot. Putting in a brand new gas furnace. Somebody calls up, we're just coming out of winter. Well, what do you think we got mostly in the winter was my furnace is broke. My furnace is broke. My furnace is broke. Luckily, we have somebody on staff that is an HVAC expert, and they have no real funds, but if they can go out and they can buy a $80 or $100 part and fix the furnace, we do have that capability. That's through the weatherization. But if it's something that Spire might come out and fix because they have different programs. I know one of their biggest one is called a red tag. And basically that says if you got a red tag, your furnace is so bad it's unsafe to run, their red tag program may pay us to have our contractors go out and put a brand new system in. And that happens a lot.
So David, yes, that sounds like really advanced sort of braiding of funds, because you've got utility, you've got weatherization, and you've got healthy homes. How do you just like one question that I'm kind of trying to articulate is if you have a measure that could be covered by more than one program, like how do you decide if you're going to spend Spire dollars or healthy home dollars or weatherization dollars on a given appliance? Is that at your discretion, or do you have like a procedural manual internally?
So it's been up to me, and it's been best judgment, and I try to help the most needy. The good thing is our agency didn't have a dedicated staff for the Hero program. Like I said, the Hero program has a huge budget, so it basically just had the director trying to work this program in with weatherization. After 1 year of having a dedicated staff, we got our 6 units and didn't start till April and had them all done by August. So I made a big sales that I could do 2 more houses. So the good thing is we were approved for 2 more houses. So now I have eight units to do on the Hero program. That being said, I already had pre-listed some ideas that these are houses that could use more work. So we have basically 6 or 7 of them lined up. We're just waiting on them to they're redoing all their forms at this point. But once they give us the go ahead, we can send the new applications out, and we'll have 6 people signed up real quick. If a home, I try to keep a couple of them open, because if I do come across a new client that's in way more dire need, then I'm going to put them in one of those last 2 places.
And what I'm hearing too, since the focus of today's conversation is on the Healthy Homes program, you're saying that those funds are easy to work with, right? So you're able to use them in different ways without a lot of constraints.
I feel like, yes, that's my favorite part of the Healthy Homes program is, by comparison, some other programs out there that I've actually looked at, they are, I mean, it's not a beautification program. So when you sit down, you get the phone call the first time you start talking to a client, you make them understand that this is not a home beautification program. We're not remodeling your house. We're making repairs. The good thing is all of our customers have needed repairs. They haven't really said, well, I want new siding because my siding's yellow and I want gray. Well, we haven't had to cross any of that. So if that were to come up, then we just have to have the hard conversation that it's not a home beautification program. But I do feel like Healthy Homes and even my Hero program is even more open to what I can fix and what I can repair.
And there's a question in the chat. Are there things in Healthy Homes that you have to walk away from? He's asking, what are some walk away things that apply with Healthy Homes? In other words, what we in the weatherization world would think of as a deferral.
Right. Well, I just have a hard time saying no to somebody in need. I'm going to find a way. So we're gonna address what Healthy Homes can address, and if there are other things, that's why I'm glad I have optional funding sources, because that would keep me from having to walk away.
What might you use alternative funds on?
So the Hero program being one, gas company being another one. If somebody's got a furnace issue, I can, because really weatherization, they really don't want me taking their utility money if I have funds. It's only if I need more funding, then I'm actually in there. So if I have to worry about electrical and my budget's already getting up to that $10,000 mark, then I know I'm going to have to go over to David Rose, my director over in weatherization, and say, hey, I'm reaching my $10,000 mark, and I really think I might need like $4,000 to replace to replace their panel. Do you care if I hit up the Ameren side of things? And usually they have it. Now at the end of last year, we got tight. We got tight with where we were at. So unfortunately, I haven't had to deal with it, but I'm sure there are some Healthy Homes people out there that have had to defer something because it's just too far gone.
Well, it sounds like you're saying, to get back to his original question, you're saying like an electrical panel upgrade would be one thing that you absolutely can't touch with Healthy Homes dollars, right?
If it is unsafe, I can do that with Healthy Homes. Absolutely.
I was thinking that because I'm not a weatherization technical
So
expert, but an electrical panels does sound like a
absolutely.
safety issue.
Anything that you can relate to health and safety, those are things that Healthy Home is meant to fix.
Okay. And then we had another question. The questions are going in the right order as far as I'm concerned. Renee Hungerford asked, what's the best way to get started in setting up a program like this? And that is one area that I want to make sure we dive into a little bit, because the Healthy Homes grant application process is a little bit complicated, and I'm hoping maybe Amanda or Yolanda can join in here, because my understanding is that there's already a set of Healthy Homes recipients. And so if there's a community action agency, is there at this time an opportunity for one of our attendees to apply to get Healthy Homes funds themselves? And if so, how do they go about doing that?
Absolutely. It's not, you just have to find your area that you were planning to address. And we currently do not have a Healthy Homes grant that's currently out. We have one currently that is being prepared for 24, but it has not hit the streets yet. I'll make sure Dave when it do come out, I'll make sure Dave will get it to the group. It's a fairly easy process. We only have a 15-page narrative with our application process. And a lot of the things we do, are after award. So for us, it's not, we try to make it as easy and smooth as possible to be able to apply for that funding.
And is that the same nationwide, or are you speaking for your particular area?
Nationwide, I do nationwide.
So anybody and any point at any place in the country theoretically could apply?
Absolutely, yes. Any city,
Okay.
state, local government, or nonprofit with 501c3 status.
And since we don't have slides, can you just say or put in the chat, do you know when the next release date for that will be? Or can you post in the chat like a link to where to find out about that?
So you would need to sign up for grants.gov, and they'll notify you when something is out. I technically cannot give you the current release date of it because it's currently in clearance. So
Okay.
I can't give you a release date, but I'm hoping and praying that I will have it out by spring, but I can't guarantee that because it's in departmental clearance.
Sure. So everybody should, of course, be getting emails and have a login for grants.gov. I know when we did our last webinar on this topic, we were able to provide a spreadsheet with a list of current Healthy Homes grantees. And we, at that time, found that not all states had a Healthy Homes grantee. So it was only applicable to certain parts of the country. And so in the new round, I would encourage everyone to get applications in, because we need more Healthy Homes grantees. Is that correct, Yolanda?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not applicable to certain areas. Anyone in any 50 states can apply. It's just the fact that they just need to apply. And the small areas, they can come together as a coalition to apply. Up to $2 million in Healthy Homes funding that you can apply for with a 10% leverage. You have to have leverage dollars, but we're not even asking for the leverage dollars until you're awarded, to make sure that you're able to have some type of funding to get into the program. So even if you are writing it and you don't have people in it yet to help you with your leverage, you're actually able to submit an application without it, talking about how you plan to raise that funding. And then once you are awarded, you have to make that available.
But would having a weatherization program count as a source of leveraged funds in that scenario?
It depends on where that weatherization funding is coming from.
Well, would federal DOE weatherization funding count, or does it have to be non-federal?
It can't. I think it's non-federal, But I want to say this DOT, what depend on where the DOE money is coming from, it may be eligible. I will have to see where it's coming from. I gotta ask Linda because I know she's her weatherization is doing something with DOE. And I gotta make sure where that funding is actually spiking from that will make it eligible.
Okay, so I mean, but the takeaway for today, this is all very encouraging because the takeaway is that there are some details that still need to be sorted out, but
Yes.
for most weatherization providers, this is a very viable option to look into.
Absolutely. It's a very
So,
valuable option. And you can still braid those funds together, even if it's not a part of your leverage. You still can use those funds together to be able to make a house whole.
So when we do our webinars, I normally send out an email to everyone who registered or participated with the copy of the slides and any support materials that came up. We won't have slides for this particular webinar, but we can put together a list of links and information that's related to today's conversation and send that out. So we'll do our best to tie up the loose ends and get you at least some starting points.
And I'll try and see if I can put our one pager for the healthy home production in the chat. It's not
Thanks.
the current one pager. It'll be the one pager that was in the last NOFA round. Okay.
And then I'm trying to scroll through the chat because everybody's being shy. Nobody wants to come on and talk. So there's some other questions. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
While you're doing that, so this is one of the main reasons why I reached out to Amy to begin with. If you don't have a healthy homes production grant within your agency, maybe the county or city or state could apply for it. And then you use the cooperation demonstration grant to get together and make that work together. Because that demonstration grant, I wish I'd have come up with that idea. Let's put it that way, because we were already doing it. Go ahead, Amanda.
No, I was just giving you kudos for mentioning that. I also believe, you know, Yolanda could probably talk about it better, but that Healthy Homes and Weatherization demonstration grant is there to help bring these two programs together and maximize services for families. And so, yeah, if your weatherization agency isn't positioned to take on both healthy homes and weatherization, getting somebody to apply for the healthy homes and then applying together for the healthy homes and weatherization demonstration grant is a great opportunity. And I just wanted to clap and say, yes, good idea.
Well, because of what we ran into with the whole tier review, I mean, it makes sense in some areas that maybe the county is the one that actually goes out and gets the healthy home grant because they already have inspectors. They already have the ability to do the tier review. So the county goes out and gets the healthy homes program, but the local community action gets the demonstration cooperation grant so that they can work together to build that capacity and to really, really help people in a greater impact, just make a huge impact. Which is where, like I said, we feel like that we're still in the infancy stages, but then I get a lot of, man, you guys are really doing stuff. I sit down with at least one or two people a month after I do their home assessment, and I sit down and I say, these are the things I found. These are the things that we can absolutely fix. They'll break down and start crying that somebody is actually there to help. It's huge. It's absolutely huge what you can do, especially when you can start combining these sources together.
Thanks, David. What would you say is your greatest success story from this program? What's the most you ever spent on a house?
I think between Healthy Homes, Hero, Ameren money, Spire money, we're probably 45,000, and I'd like to go back with my Hero program and replace all of her windows because they're completely covered in lead-based paint and they need to be replaced really, really bad. And we're just waiting on the go-ahead. She's got all of her paperwork together for Hero. We're just waiting on Hero to come back around with the new documents. and that one will end up, it's almost $65,000 to $70,000 we're going to have into a 100-year-old house, 3-bedroom family home, been in the family for 3 generations.
Mhm.
This house will be so healthy when you look at the grand scheme of things, with a house that old with no asbestos left, because we've already remediated the asbestos insulation in the ceiling. That's what we did. Get rid of the lead-based paint all over the windows. She's actually a hardworking woman, single mom with a couple of kids. She's already cleaned up and started painting other things. She's got a new electrical panel. She got a brand new gas furnace. A couple of my buddies work for the gas company in that town and said they're there every year trying to bubble gum and duct tape this furnace back together because she couldn't afford to get a new furnace, and we've taken care of all of that. And she's a deserving mom, single mom, cook at work, the cook at school, the local school. Everybody knows her. Got a kid on the football team. Just, you couldn't ask for a more deserving person, and what we've done to help her. And even her mother is just blown away that something's out there that could help this much.
And was that a rental property or a owner occupied?
Owner occupied. It was the grandmother's, then it was the mother's, and now it belongs to our client. And our client, like I said, she's a lunch lady at the junior high. She got 2 kids still living at home. They're older, they're not under 6, but nope, she's the owner, and she's the 3rd generation in the house.
Because we did have some questions earlier about multifamily properties. Do you only do single family, or can you do like an apartment building?
Healthy Homes will let us do multi-unit. There are some different rules and different things you have to follow. You have to look at the individual stuff. Like if you're going to do a radon test, you got to know how to do a radon test in the right place in a multi-unit. Luckily for me, I haven't had to do them because it really gets in the weeds with what you can do, what you can't do. Do you need to get someone else to apply for the program as well? If they do, are they income qualified? So I've just been so lucky. But if you're St. Louis is having a lot of that come up because that's what they do, and they're just one county away. And I know that they've hit a lot of things. They hit a lot of State Historical Preservation Society issues where the windows must be of like in kind. I've only had one so far out of all the applications. We've got one right now that SHPO says that I can't replace the roof. I'm not real sure what we're going to do at this point. We've got over 100-year-old building in Washington, Missouri, which is a very old town on the Missouri River, and it's in a historical district of the town. It's got a metal roof. I can replace with of like in kind. I just got to get SHPO to say that's okay.
And then we had a question from Luann. Is there a survey or questions asked about health issues of the residents? So it is the Healthy Homes program. Is there some sort of a health assessment that goes along with it?
So unit by unit, that does come up. Sometimes they're referred to me by the health department. The child may have been tested for lead blood level, and came up high. So they give me a call. They tell that client, we're going to test your water because the health department will test the water because we don't test the water, but they will send it out. I'll go out and I'll do a XRF test. I'll find out if there's anything. If there is nothing, then we know it's not the home that they're getting. So if they have to have a LERA, so any home built before 1978 has to have a lead inspection risk assessment here in Missouri, and HUD requires it as well. If there's someone under 6 years old in the house, there's one set of questions that have to be asked. You know, where does that kid sleep? Where does that kid eat? Where does that kid mostly play? If there's not, there's a little bit different questionnaire that we have. But yes, there are specific health questions. A lot of the older clientele that we've been getting, like I said, really our demographic has been seniors. They have no problem telling us their health history on the phone the first time we talk with them. So we know right away somebody's got COPD, or they might have some type of lung issue, or they smoked for years and they just have some small minor lung issues. So we really, here in Missouri, I don't know, it depends on where you're at, but here in Missouri, one of our biggest things is everybody's scared to death of mold. So we really do. We've got an aerosol pump kit that we use by Zfon that actually gets sent off to a lab, and they'll tell me exactly how much and what types of mold. I use a small kit to get me just kind of general information, because you can leave it open. It's a Petri dish. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy it. It's from Mold Armor. It's like $6-8. You open it up, you let it sit for an hour, you cover it, and in 3 days, if there's fuzzy things growing in there, then you know you got some mold. Well, here in Missouri, everybody's going to have some mold. That's why we use the other piece of equipment to find out exactly what types. The mold armor for $40, you can send it off and you can actually have it tested, and they'll tell you what kind of mold. They'll give you a report. It's just not as extensive as the pump. The aerosol pump tells me a percentage of the air, like how many spores were in this one and how many is in that one. So we do, like I said, we do an extensive healthy homes assessment. So a lot of times health issues do come up. I've got one over here at this lake where the lady was like, I've got all these lung issues. She was a St. Louis city person, lived in the city most of her life, and one of her last apartments was full of mold. So she has some, I think she has COPD. I'm not real sure what her diagnosis is. So we can install fresh air systems. We can install HEPA filter systems. We can do a lot to help people. And we don't specifically ask about the health risk and health issues, because, you know, we're getting into the stuff with HIPAA and that. But if they tell us, then definitely I know what I'm looking for a little bit more if they do happen to tell me something.
But so in terms of implementing the program, it sounds like the Healthy Homes program does not require you to have any specific medical information about the residents.
Does not.
It's just, it's supplemental, right? So it's a source of referrals, but it's the measure. In other words, it sounds to me like the wording that I would use is that it is healthy home measures. It is not tied to the specific health conditions of the residents. It has to do with the measures being preset as health related, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then there was a comment from Bernie Hellman about doing healthy homes when somebody's on the wait list for weatherization. I was wondering if you could share that out loud.
Bernie, you still there?
And Bernie, I'm not sure, are you in the same agency with David, or are you in a different agency?
Bernie's with us.
Oh, okay. So Vernie is saying if we have a client on the waiting list for weatherization, we proceed with the audit assessment and complete the weatherization work first, and then refer the other work that would be approved with Healthy Homes after weatherization is complete and signed off. I think that's a really important thing to talk about, because that what was called the order of operations. I think
All right, you finally unmuted me where I can talk now. I was trying to unmute, right? So it wouldn't work. So yeah, so we don't on weatherization side, we are not going to put our clients on a longer waiting list, waiting for a healthy home or a program to start. If a hero program has started before, it's kind of like a touchy situation. So we have to converse with each other where we're at with certain work. So we can't ask heroes to come in first if they're going to come up on the waiting list next month and they're not going to get the work done. So from what I understand, that Hero Health and Homes cannot work on the same home together. It's got to be one or the other completed first. Is that right, Gabe?
It's mostly right, but it depends on what the work is. So we have a home right now that's getting weatherization done. Weatherization is almost completed at this home. Healthy Homes is going to be putting a roof on this place like any day now. So technically they're not overlapping, but something was missed in weatherization. I realized it. They wanted to fix it. So it's one of Barry's jobs. Barry was like, yes, let us do that part of it, so I don't have to put that under my budget. Lets my budget go a little bit further, but we're technically working on the house at the same time. Technically, I mean, the work's not started yet, but it's it depends on what work is being done, because if weatherization hasn't started and I'm replacing windows, we really want to replace those windows before weatherization starts. However, if weatherization's already got in there and they've already done their blower door test, they've already completed the work, then I come in and do the windows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that would change. I guess it makes it better. That's all that we know, that it's making it better, but it does depend on what kind of work.
So on a case by case basis, it sounds like.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of, it's good to get into the weeds on that because it cuts to there's a sort of a recurring theme of talking about like braiding of funds. And so are you using different programs for different measures, or are you kind of moving the house, wrapping up one particular program and then moving it on to the next program, which I think is sometimes in some places they call that stacking. So you would like complete the process for healthy homes and then do weatherization or vice versa. But in your case, it sounds like you have enough flexibility to kind of like make decisions within a given home and treat it as one entire home, right?
Correct.
Now it could work differently in different places. The Healthy Homes program has enough flexibility built into it.
What's given me the most flexibility is that my contractors are not the same contractors that weatherization is using.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were all using the same contractors, we would have a hard time. We would have to stack those jobs at that point. So if you can actually braid them together and get them done at the same time, the house I was talking about with the single mom and the two kids that we're going to
Mm-hmm.
go back and do the windows, we were able to do weatherization, Spire, Ameren, Healthy Homes, kind of all at the same time to get it where it is right now. And they're actually still finishing up weatherization right now on that home.
Mm-hmm. Have there been any cases where you were able to bring a house off of the weatherization wait list or off of the weatherization deferral list um, using the Healthy Homes dollars?
I can't think of any specific, but I think that there's been a couple that possibly would have been deferred, but I was able to get in and work on it before
Mm-hmm.
weatherization ever got to it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no documentation that says yes. There's been a couple of them where one of the auditors went out to the house just to get a first look, not do an audit, and they were there and said, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to pass. You're going to be deferred. However, call this guy." And they would call me, and I had enough flexibility that I could throw them in front of a couple houses and get them done. I can't think of, I want to say there's at least one or two out of a dozen
Mm-hmm.
that would have been deferred on weatherization had we not gone in first.
Yeah.
Right.
And then another sort of policy question, maybe Yolanda or Amanda can speak to this, but this is a HUD program. And so HUD, of course, is housing and urban development, but it sounds like your service territory is partly rural. So are there like territorial considerations, or can the HUD Healthy Homes dollars be spent anywhere? Does it have to be in an urban area? And if so, is there a rural piece from USDA?
Nope, you can spend out Healthy Homes dollars in any area. The
Oh,
only
good.
But with our older adult home modification that helps seniors stay within their home, we do have a rural component and an urban component. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Healthy Homes, no.
Good to know.
And I think your question brings up that I'd love to do a plug for a webinar that NCAP is hosting on Thursday for leveraging federal home retrofit programs for households aging in place.
Yeah.
And during that webinar, we'll basically be going through an example of braiding several different federal programs, including WAP, the Healthy Homes grant that we've been talking about today, as well as USDA programs. And so if you're free from 1 to 2:30 Eastern time on Thursday, please come to that webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And also we can
fast.
post the registration link for that in the chat.
And 2 people from my staff will be speaking on the older adult home modification and the Healthy Homes Production Program.
Yeah, this is an ongoing conversation, so we hope to see more of you at more sessions, and possibly we can have a session about this at our conference. The idea of pairing weatherization with all sorts of different healthy homes programs is really important. And so I want to thank David for David or Dave. I feel like whatever you tell me, I say the opposite.
It's okay,
All
whichever.
right. All right. Well, I would like to thank Dave for taking the time to talk to us today about all these things. It sounds like you're running an incredibly successful program there. And I look forward to some updates in the future, because it sounds like you said we're just getting started. So it's in its infancy, and it looks like you may expand more in the future, right?
That is the hope. I'm trying to get a couple of additional grants. In the fall, I know that we're coming back around with, I think, another cooperation demonstration grant. We would
Mm-hmm.
love to get that, because if I could use that grant to match funds on some of these
Mm-hmm.
houses, man, I could do some real good things with that kind of money. And because of the educating of myself that I've done with the indoor air quality, we would like to expand our indoor air quality as well, to match along with this. So yes, we're looking at creating a much larger department, basically, with Healthy Homes and Hero, and just making it something big.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess in closing, let's just double check and clarify. Maybe HUD could tell us the Healthy Homes Weatherization Cooperation Demonstration Grant. What does that particular grant get you that you don't already have, right? Because it's extra money to foster additional cooperation, right? But you're already doing it, but you're going to expand it. What's the point of that, and who should apply for it?
Oh,
Yeah, here she comes.
yeah.
The Healthy Homes Cooperation is not within my department and in my division. It's within my
Oh,
office. It is ran by Dr. Brenda Reyes, but it covers weatherization. It covers a holistic approach of a home. You can do a lot of energy efficiency with that funding as well. So that they normally would use that money to braid with other funding to make sure that energy efficiency is covered.
mm-hmm. Good. So all of that stuff, we'll try to summarize it in our follow-up email to everyone. So I think I can probably close us out if I don't see any, does anyone have any last questions? Not seeing any raised hands. Well, I think everybody who joined us today, we had really good turnout, and I thank you all for participating in the conversation. And once again, I thank Dave for taking the time to talk at us for so long and for running such a great program. So I look forward to seeing more of you in the future at more webinars and possibly in person at our conference. Thank you, David.
Everybody have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.